My name's Kim Hobart. I live in Auburn, Washington. We had a tile roof, and it was starting to show signs of leakage in various areas. And every time I walked on the roof, I broke a tile and had to replace it. So as the tiles age, they change color from their original color. So after a while, it starts looking like a checkerboard roof. And the tiles are very heavy. They're almost 10 pounds a piece. And I didn't like the way the gutter drain system on the valleys looked. It was kind of like cheesy. And I wanted a different style roof. And I'd seen a lot of the commercials for Interlock and investigated, went to your website, read reviews and so on, and looked at other expensive types, roofs, metal, steel, and all that. Then Ross, I placed a call, and Ross came out and gave us the spiel, so to speak, on the different types of roofs, costs, expenses, and it was more than I expected it to be, but it's an investment for the long run. I work in the disaster business, so I've seen lots of disaster homes destroyed, easy by driving wind and rain. And the way this roof locks together, it's pretty much foolproof. Ross even gave me an example where a roof had tree had fallen on a roof, where the roof itself had stayed intact, but the subframing collapsed. And I was like, well, that's a pretty strong roof. So it kept adding more and more positives going through the details of the roof itself compared to other style roofs. There was no hesitation, basically. After Ross left, we weighed the pros and cons, and based on the existing conditions we were experiencing, felt that was a priority, and that we looked at it after the pros and cons weighed in, that was going to be an investment towards our property. Ross had told us it'd be like several months, about a month or so before the installer showed up, that we'd get a phone call, and then we'd told about the financing and all that stuff, and sure enough, it happened. We were just thinking about it, and all of a sudden I got the phone call, and so they said, here's the date they're going to show up, and he kind of walked us through the process. Then when the guys showed up to actually do it, the lead individual told us about what was going to happen and all that. The first 2 days were kind of rainy, so it slowed the process. But it happened a whole lot faster than I thought, considering there was only 4 guys doing the whole project. They explained it to me, basically, that the last day, the 5th day, was nothing but cleanup day. So they did a really good job. I only found one piece in a bush, and that was it. I was like looking forward to see how it's going to, deal with the weather and all that then. The water ran off like lickety split. I didn't have any leaks whatsoever like I had before. I did notice there is a slight sound difference between the thick tiles to the aluminum, even though they got the barrier in between. It is a little louder, but it's nominal. But it's like watertight, and I'm like, that's one thing that was like, yes, the way they installed it, and it all locks together. Even the little piece that they put underneath the edges that go down into the gutter. Well, the usual question, the big question that everybody will ask, how much was it? Then of course, then it hits them. The sticker shock hits them. And they're like, wow. I said, well, you're either in it for the long haul or you're not. So it's an investment thing. It's not for everybody. Some people would rather pay the $20,000 for a cheap roof and then do it every 20 years and have to clean it every year. Not me. Even if we're not here for 20 years or whatever, it's going to be towards the investment of the house. Friends gather over and they think it looks nice. And again, the wow factor compared to what it was before. Well, the one thing I can share with dealing with Interlock compared to a lot of other companies and dealing with whether it be a plumber or an HVAC company or even the various companies I've dealt with commercially at work, Interlock has always been there to answer the questions. And if something's gone wrong, mishap or whatever, they were right there on top of it to correct the action. There was no trying to hide anything whatsoever. They were right up front and dealt with it and took care of it. It was like refreshing, because most companies nowadays say, oh, we don't cover that. Well, it was not our fault, or they try to escape out of things. So Interlock, there was one little issue that occurred. The guys installing the roof took care of the issue, dealt with it right away, and it got fixed. you know, I'd seen videos and other people's roofs and all that in a magazine or whatever, but when you actually see the finished product on your own roof, and then you're like, that's what it looks like. And you're like, wow, it looks so clean and so pretty. I was pretty like blown away. Do your research, you know, don't believe everything you always hear on the internet, as they say, but investigate the companies, whether you use Angie's List or any of the other search capabilities out there. Read the reviews of people that have experienced the companies that do roofing. Watch if they have any videos out there. Watch them, and then you can see the product. Compare product warranties. That's one of the big ones too. You know, a lot of people don't think about that. And then, like I said, this one here is transferable to the next owner, so that's a bonus that you don't find in most products. If I had to choose one word to describe Interlock, I would say thorough, from beginning to end. I'm not worried about heavy rain. I'm not worried about driving winds like that to worry about, oh, it's going to get under the edges and rip it up or any of that. So that's a peace of mind there, and the fact that the way it's coated and it repels the rain readily right off, and I don't have to treat it and clean it. You guys did all the hard work. I'm happiest about the fact that it's a no-brainer to me. I don't have to mess with it. Other than just look at it every now and then and it's prettiness and beauty of the roof every day. You know, I come down the driveway and the first thing I see, and I was like, yeah, that's going to be there a while.
Fairly new homeowners at this house, and you know, big house. This is kind of their dream house, and they wanted to get everything right, and the roof was an obvious problem for them. So you know, we diagnosed the problems and came up with a proposal, and it was a great fit to pick the slate for this roof, because the slate looks great on a hip roof like this with the high definition ridge caps. Oh, they were researchers. You know, they'd done a lot of research already, and they had a lot of questions. Kim's very technical, so you know, he asked me a zillion questions about how this was going to work. Our product appeals to people who have kind of an engineering mentality, and he was definitely one of those. This is a very exceptional house. It's a big house. It's got an impressive roof. Already has 6 solar tubes in it, which is a big number. And it has a nice solarium in back. It has high ceilings in there. So it's a very impressive house, the kind of house you'd want to keep for the rest of your life. I think that they were focused on getting one roof that they were not going to have to replace even if they stay here a long time. And you know, we have a unique solution to that other roofs really can't match. I think they really like the fact that we're direct, that we're not going through outside contractors. So we're really going to be responsible for every aspect of the project from start to finish. I think that gave them a feeling of security. They definitely were concerned about moss, about debris, you know, about having to clean all of that. And, you know, so they were very happy to hear how trouble-free our roof is in this environment. I think it's met all their expectations. So it's very satisfying to be part of that.